This is Ira, and welcome to Ocean Liners on Print, where we time travel through the history of ocean liners and cruise ships via my collection of memorabilia. Today, we're going to focus on one of the most resilient and lasting sister ships that served together, the Vulcania and Saturnia. While the Queen Mary and Queen Elizabeth weren't sister ships, they worked the North Atlantic run in tandem from 1946 to 1967. Minus World War II service, the Vulcania and Saturnia worked the North Atlantic run in tandem from 1929 to 1965, a much longer period in time than the Queen's. Both ships started service for the Kasulich line, which became the Italian line in 1932. Hit the subscribe button and let's get into Ocean Liners on Print.
Get your baggage tags. We have a voyage to catch on the Vulcania and the Saturnia. Pre-World War II, the Saturnia sailed between Trieste and New York and also did cruises. After World War II, the Saturnia was placed on the Genoa to New York run. In 1955, her route became the Trieste to New York run. Vulcania pre-World War II served Naples to New York, Trieste to New York, and cruises. Post-World War II, the Vulcania was placed on the Genoa to New York line. In 1955, she was switched to the Trieste to New York service. Let's examine this brochure for the Vulcania and Saturnia from 1949. Quote, first, all of Italy's pre-war tourist services are functioning smoothly again. Hotels now are derequisitioned by the Allied authorities, and hotels are open in the Alpine, Riviera, and resort areas. Her artistic patrimony was affected comparatively little by the conflict. The works of art taken by the Nazis to Germany have been recovered and restored to their former places, and all museums, picture galleries, and public tourist places are reopened to the public in the Alpine, Riviera, and resort areas. Italy's natural beauties have not been marred by war. The railways of Italy, while damaged, have been repaired speedily with timetable efficiency equaling if not surpassing the famed pre-war perfection. Close quote. Quote, foreign observers are unanimous in their opinion that food is plentiful and at a lower cost than in the States. Close quote. So here they're talking about the condition of Italy right after World War II, and obviously they're trying to convince the American public that the country is functioning, especially as a tourist country. This section, called A Bird's Eye View of the Voyage. Quote, you leave New York probably in wintry weather for a nosedive into sunshine and flowers. Your voyage is on the beautifully refitted Italian liner, the SS Vulcania or the SS Saturnia, and no ship could be more desirable. They are the proud creations of a maritime nation of ancient heritage. There is no shivery North Atlantic crossing. You sail directly to warm waters on the first day of departure. Close quote. You will see that the theme and taglines of the Italian line ads include sayings like Lido and the Southern Route. On the next page, famous Mediterranean ships. Quote, the MV Saturnia and MV Vulcania are the largest ships in Mediterranean service. The State Department of the United States government and the Italian government have placed them in service under the operating auspices of the American export lines. The fleeting period of the war-torn years has wrought a momentous change in ship standards of living, widened the horizons of new world of necessities, once luxuries, and set the tempo for a better and more colorful epoch to come. To meet these demands and to give the utmost in travel perfection, the Italian government has spent time and money reconditioning these vessels. Close quote. Quote, the Saturnia and Vulcania are 24,469-ton liners have been beautifully refitted to meet the demands of the most discriminating traveler. Light and gracious are the vast proportions of the interiors, faithfully reflecting the influence of Italian art, yet they reveal a subtlety of inner harmony that is wonderfully restful to tired nerves. Close quote. On another page, quote, both vessels are equipped with open-air swimming pools, a club-like bar, gymnasium, salt and freshwater showers, spacious public rooms, and other modern features. Close quote. These ships were also built with elevators. In fact, they had 2 elevators. This is common for 1920s vintage ships, but unlike some pre-war ships that were fitted with post-war with air conditioning or expanded air conditioning, no attempt was made to air condition these ships, as these ships were marketed as sailing the warm southern route. You would think there would be a greater need for air conditioning. In the passenger capacity discussed, it explains that the Vulcania had dormitories, which we will see when we review deck plan of the Vulcania. Under general information, quote, servants. Servants traveling in the first class pay the rate of accommodations occupied less 20% when accompanying their employers, close quote. And by the way, that's for only first class. The assumption is that only first class passengers are going to have servants. U.S. head tax. All aliens are required to pay $8 U.S. head tax when purchasing westbound tickets. Children under 16 years of age are exempt only if they are accompanied by their father or mother. So I guess this was an immigrant tax. On the following page, it mentions the need for an international certificate of vaccination against smallpox. Then we go to the section, rates for domestic animals, birds, bicycles, etc. Dogs, $50. Motorcycles, $60. Sidecars, $20. Pianos, $80. Who's going to ship a piano across the ocean? Cats, $10. Bicycles, $10. Perambulators, $10. Does anyone know what a perambulator is? If they do so, please put it on the comment section below. Sewing machines, $10. That doesn't make sense. If a sewing machine is $10 and a piano is only 8 times the amount at $80, I would think that a piano probably weighs 500 times as much as a sewing machine. Birds, 1 or 2 in a cage, $5 per cage. Birds, more than 2 in a cage, $10 per cage. On to the next page. Rates for unboxed automobiles accompanying passengers up to 4,500 pounds, $500, round trip, and $1,949. That's almost the price of a car back then. So let's look at advertisements for the Saturnia and the Vulcania. Let's start with pre-World War II ads. The Italian line ad campaign, especially pre-World War II, was about sailing the warm southern route or crossing the Atlantic. Here's an ad for the Roma and the single stacker, the Vulcania. You can choose to take a 60-day cruise to 37 ports, $685 for first class going to the Azores, Casablanca, and the Mediterranean. In another ad, quote, 3,000 miles of summer. The calendar has little to do with it. Measure off the sea distance of the southern route to Europe and you have summer. 3,000 miles of it at any time of year, close quote. And then another quote, soon after the voyage begins, summer comes aboard your great Italian liner. She smiles from a gleaming Lido pool, from bright, clear skies, from the Lido deck, close quote. So once again, mentions of the southern route that's warmer as well as the Lido deck. Going on to another ad. The sun's eye view of a Lido crossing. Sun is the fashion on the smooth southern route to Europe. And once again, this is a reference to the advertising campaign for the warm southern route. Quote, choose the famous Italian sun ships, close quote. On March 27th, the Saturnia, famous Casolich liner, offering a 6 weeks itinerary, 42 days, 19 calls, from $275. West Indies, February 9th, Saturnia, stretch your Lincoln's birthday holiday to a real vacation. Whole deck veranda suites available on this popular Casolich liner to Kingston, Jamaica, Havana, and Nassau. So this is very important to mention the veranda suites because the Saturnia and the Vulcania were probably, if not the first, among the first passenger ships to have balconies or verandas some 70, 75 years before balcony mania went out of hand. And another ad, quote, learn what it means to cruise on noted Italian sun ships, close quote. And now we come up to the post-World War II ads where the direction changes away from the warm southern route. So in this particular ad, quote, the flavor of Italy, close quote. This particular ad is post-Andrea Doria, but pre-Leonardo da Vinci, because these two ships are not mentioned. So the Andrea Doria sank in 1956, and the Leonardo da Vinci entered service around 1960. So the ad was somewhere from the end of 1956 to maybe early 1960. So here we have from top to bottom, we have the Cristoforo Colombo, the Giulio Cesare, Augustus, Vulcania, and Saturnia. Why wait to be in Italy? Which is the quote. Step aboard an Italian line ship. Close quote. The Saturnia and Vulcania are noted in this ad. Let's look at the activities to partake in on the Vulcania first class in the 1954 voyage. As you see, and considering it is first class, daily activities are limited. For example, on June 4th, 1954, if you subtracted the events as you see, and considering it is for first class, daily activities are limited. For example, on June 4th, 1954, if you subtracted the events around meals, the remaining activities would be Holy Mass, morning health class, tea concert in the veranda, movie, rosary and benediction, cocktail music at the Grand Bar, mocha concert, bingo, and dancing. So only 9 non-meal activities on June 4th. On June 6th, visit the bridge, 10 to 11, and then bridge, meaning the card game bridge, and canasta at 2:45 p.m. They also had trap shooting from 3 to 4. Trap shooting is when someone uses a rifle and they shoot at clay pigeons that are hurled off the aft of the ship. There's also a Bob Hope Jane Russell movie at 4:45 translated to Son of Paleface. And then we have the June 10th activities. And for the June 10th activities, we have a newsreel at 5 p.m. and horse races in the social hall. What's interesting is that back then, they could not show live news, especially a broadcast to a ship that's in the middle of the sea. So they had newsreels, which obviously were pre-recorded. So the news that you were watching on a newsreel could be several days old. Now, what to eat for dinner on June 11th in first class aboard the Vulcania. Fresh fruit cup with cognac, crab flakes cocktail. For appetizers, they had mackerel fillets with lemon, smoked sea eel, and Sweden smoked salmon. And then for fish, they had fried salt crab and sea scallops. Ready to serve, fried calves, brain, creamed potatoes. And then they also had sauteed guinea hen, hunter style. Does anyone know what hunter style is? If so, please leave your remarks in the comments section below. Then from the grill, mutton chop and lamb kidney with tomato. And for roasts, they had young capon on skewer and prime rib on beef. So very nice selections. And now for a tour within the Vulcania as we explore its deck plane. Its deck plane was relatively similar to that of the Saturnia with a few differences. The sun deck is where you will find the first-class swimming pool and the dog kennel. The promenade deck is where you will find the smoking room, reading room and gallery, writing room and restaurant, and then the ballroom. On the veranda deck, we start with the cabin class pool, cabin class bar, and cabin class gym. But more notable is that the Vulcania and Saturnia, as mentioned before, were among the very first ships with staterooms containing private balconies. As these ships were built in the 1920s, they were about maybe 70 years or so ahead of balcony mania. So they were pioneers of the trend. So on the veranda deck, most outside staterooms had private verandas and private bathroom facilities. The main deck is where we have heated kennels, the cabin class veranda, cabin class ladies' room, writing room, and smoking room. Then the hall and purser's office, staterooms, hall with bank, and 2 elevators, followed by more staterooms. A deck is where we start off with staterooms, most with private bathroom facilities. Nothing unusual until we approach the forward section where there are multiple public rooms, primarily tourist class rooms in the forward section, which is the area of the ship most subject to motion. And this includes the tourist class ladies' room, tourist class smoking room, and tourist class veranda. On B deck, the staterooms either share facilities with another cabin or lack them completely. As a result, you will see public baths and toilets. Cabin class dining room. As you will see on this deck, having 3 separate dining rooms with 3 classes was very common on ships of this era from the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Followed by first class dining room located midship, the steadiest part of the ship and most desirable part of the ship. And then followed by the tourist class dining room all the way forward. D deck is where you will find dormitories containing accommodations for 14 to 22 passengers with public showers and toilets. Then, public showers and toilets for private staterooms. As we head forward, there is a blank space, which is probably the top of the engine room. And then the forward part of D deck containing only dormitories that accommodate up to 28 passengers, plus public showers and toilets. Keep in mind, these dormitories catered to the immigrant trade, which was very big in the early 1950s.
I hope you enjoyed traveling through time exploring the Vulcania and Saturnia. What did you find most interesting? How these ships performed together on the same route for so many years? The idea of crossing the Atlantic south of the traditional route in order to take advantage of better weather. Transporting your piano on the ship for $80. What about a sewing machine for $10? Reading the menu and daily activities in Italian. Please write your comments below. Hit the subscribe button so you can receive alerts for my latest videos. Thank you, and arrivederci from Ocean Liners on Print.